We embarked recently on some shuttle diplomacy to Togo, to Guinea Bissau, Gambia, and Cote d'Ivoire. And we did so in Nigeria's capacity as chair of the ECOWAS heads of state and government. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the current chair. And by extension, and because of that, I also happen to be the chair of the ECOWAS Ministerial Council, as well as the ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council. Now, going on this shuttle diplomacy was very important because, as you know, it's always best to engage with others at home when you visit them. They know how seriously you take them. They know how important they are to you. So this is very essential to success in diplomacy and in foreign affairs as a whole. And we were going in wearing two caps, as head everywhere we went. We were going in our capacity as chair of ECOWAS. We were also going in our capacity as friends to those nations that have had diplomatic relations with Nigeria, most of them since inception. So it's very important. We have very good, strong bilateral relations. And you can see the nature of the world today. We're living in a multipolar world. It is becoming increasingly complex, but at the same time, the political structure of the world is designed in such a way that regional cohesion is all important. It's important for regions to be together economically, politically, and work towards a common market, common currency, customs union, and so forth. And even the continental organizations work with what is referred to in diplomacy as complementarity and subsidiarity. So the regional economic communities such as ECOWAS are the building blocks of the African Union. And the African Union is itself part of the building blocks of the United Nations, because other continental organizations such as the AU also exist. So this is why it's very essential, and it's also essential to discuss things that relate to us in our region. In Togo, we discussed numerous issues, including the security in the region, which is important. Togo is also facing a lot of challenges in its border to the north, because you have terrorist activities of criminal gangs, and so on and so forth, and irregular migration. So we addressed that, and bilaterally, we also discussed several issues, opportunities that exist, Nigerian businesses that are looking to invest in Togo and vice versa. And Togo is also rich in mineral resources, particularly phosphate, which is used in making fertilizer. And you know that we have so many fertilizer blending plants in Nigeria. So we talked about that and the opportunities that exist. And then, of course, we moved on to Guinea Bissau, where equally we discussed the issue of security in ECOWAS. As a matter of fact, there are Nigerian troops in Guinea Bissau. They've been there for quite some time now, helping to keep the country stable. And we emphasized the need for harmony, for more work towards stability, more work towards ensuring the the parliament is used as a safety valve, because at the moment there's a bit of a challenge with the parliament, but we assured that Nigeria is always there to provide its mediatory platform to resolve any issues. And President Tinubu, of course, is always available also to President Mbalo. And there also, we discussed several opportunities that exist, from fishery to agricultural produce. They're looking for investment in fiber optics. They want Nigerian banks to venture out there, and we, of course, we're going to make the requisite recommendations to the government agencies that handle such issues. And then came Gambia. Again, Gambia has had a long relationship with Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the Vice President and the Foreign Minister both stated the importance of Nigeria to to Gambia, and reminded us that were it not for the role that Nigeria played, Gambia would today not have a judiciary. And we continue to support them through this ministry and its agency, the Technical Aid Corps, in providing Nigerian professionals, particularly university lecturers, that continue to help the educational system. So Nigeria is very important to Gambia, and by extension, we also talked about several issues with regards to how to strengthen economic harmony and integration. And also, everywhere we went, of course, we talked about security, so that was a constant. Then finally, but by no means the least, was Cote d'Ivoire. And Cote d'Ivoire is a large economy within the Francophone countries and within ECOWAS. And one of the key arteries for the economic success and advancement of ECOWAS is the Abidjan-Lagos trade and transport corridor. And this exists not only terrestrially on land, but also along the coast, because there is a lot of trade and movement between that axis. And between Cote d'Ivoire we've got, and Nigeria, we've got Ghana, we've got Togo, we've got Republic of Benin. Already there exists the West Africa gas pipeline that links us going all the way to that stops at Ghana, but there is talk of extending it to Cote d'Ivoire as well. So these are some of the major infrastructure links, ties that we have. And we saw for ourselves the work that Cote d'Ivoire is doing with regards to improvements to the road that goes all the way from Abidjan to Lagos. And there we discussed the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme. They're also very keen on having Nigeria partner with Cote d'Ivoire in the production of cashew, and they're prepared to, because they're number one in the production of cashew in the world, they're prepared to share their experience, their technology, their expertise, so that we may improve our own output as well. It is a major coffee producer and several other agricultural products. But beyond that, everywhere we went, we also had the opportunity to discuss and solicit support for Nigeria's intention to become a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, because this is something that is a hot topic at the moment. And all the countries we visited said they are in the same region, but they know that there's no other country that is best suited, best qualified to speak on behalf of others, to speak on behalf of the continent more than Nigeria. And they assured us of their support when the time comes. And some volunteered even to start doing that groundwork right away. And the second issue also we discussed was the opening that exists in the International Court of Justice, where Nigeria is presenting a candidate, Femi Elias. And again, all countries we visited, where we met with the heads of state, and in one of the countries it was the vice president, all assured us, and of course the foreign ministers, all assured us of their support for Nigeria's candidate. So, and this is just the first phase of this shuttle diplomacy within the West African region. We had to break because of other engagements and other events that are happening in between, and as soon as those events are over and we address other pressing needs, we will return to the shuttle diplomacy. There's already quite a bit of trade going on between the ECOWAS countries, but what we're trying to do is to increase that, because there's not enough trade between African countries compared to other parts of the world, other continents. So if you look at, for instance, if you look at Europe, as much as 67% of what is manufactured or produced is traded within the continent, between the countries. In Asia is about 57%. So this is what we're trying to enhance. Of course, that cannot happen without the requisite linkages in terms of infrastructure, roads, rail, fiber optic, electricity, and so on and so forth. And this is part of what ECOWAS is trying to do vis-a-vis ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme and specific infrastructure projects that are taking place. But specifically with regards to cashew that you mentioned, we are already growing cashews here, but we're looking to improve our yield, improve our output. So instead of looking to another part of the world to do so, why don't we look at the number one producer in the world, that is our neighbor, Cote d'Ivoire. And this is what we're doing, and this is why the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cote d'Ivoire, Minister Adamo, said, look, we are prepared to share the knowledge and the experience that we have, and we should bring together the producers, the manufacturers, and others within that sector. So this is what we're going to do with regards to that. And we also have a common interest when it comes to the export, collective export of such produce from our region, because we are all signatories to or participating in, for instance, AGOA with the United States, the African Growth Opportunities Act, that is meant to allow for the export of not just agricultural products, but also finished products, really, ideally, but to the US. But we tend to have a challenge where, particularly in the case of Nigeria, where they say we have not met certain requirements in terms of standardization, in terms of labeling, in terms of packaging and all of that. So things as simple as yam sometimes cannot be exported to the US because they say we have not met certain requirements. So it's important that we turn to countries that are doing better in particular items or products or produce, such as cashew nuts and so on. And there's so much else also that we are producing. Cote d'Ivoire is producing. Shea butter is one. We're ahead of them, and so forth. So I hope that addresses that question. I'll move on to Jonas. We talked about the United Nations Security Council. United Nations Security Council still remains important because, again, you will find that 68% or so, under 70% of the decisions made in the United Nations Security Council have to do with Africa. And yet, there's not a single African country with a permanent seat in there. So it's important that Nigeria is in there. It's important that Nigeria represents and speaks for not just ourselves, not just our region, not just the continent, but for the global south as a whole. And this is what this administration is looking to do. President Tinubu is pushing hard, fully committed to it, and we're getting the right response because for the first time, the United States came out and issued a statement and said they are fully in support of two permanent seats in the United Nations Security Council for Africa. So we have to take measures to ensure, because already we're hearing some other African countries, there's an African leader that was saying, let it be, and it's a small country, he's saying, let it be one seat for the African Union and then the other seat will be rotated. As if Nigeria is not even around, nobody is seeing it, you know. So that is why we need to assert ourselves and make sure, and of course our neighbors, our friends in our region have always been supportive because they know that when it comes to representing others' interests, Nigeria is selfless. Nigeria is one of the few countries of its size that has never been threatening towards its neighbors. So we're the ones that have gone out to look out for others, not just in our neighborhood, but on the continent. Nigeria stood firm and was a leader in the fight against against racist regimes on our continent. And the United Nations Security Council still remains very important because this is where key decisions to do with health, to do with climate change, to do with population, to do with education. All you have to do is just go down the list of the SDGs. You'll see how important this is, the United Nations Security Council still remains. Not to talk of political decisions that are made there as well.